It's Tuesday, March the 14th, 2017, and this is your Barbados Today afternoon update. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Thanks for joining us. Topping the news at this hour, an opposition MP accuses government of continuing to suffer from inertia, apathy, and laziness, particularly in the energy sector. On day two of the estimates debate in the House of Assembly this morning, Parliamentary Representative for St. George South, Dwight Sutherland, noted that while some work had been done in renewable energy, the Friendly Stewart administration was lagging as the oil import bill remained unacceptably high. Sutherland then took a turn in the state-owned Barbados National Oil Company, otherwise known as BNOC, for failing to lead in renewable energy initiatives.
BNOC, government, who has failed to invest in renewable energy. They're still focusing on crude, and I will, if I have the time, I will speak to this because no work has been done for the past 8 years in the offshore or the onshore drilling sector in this Ministry of Energy. BNOC should see themselves as an energy company and take the lead, not give the lead to Light and Power through Emira. BNOC should take the lead. They should see themselves as an energy company and not a hydrocarbon company. BNOC should have been the leader in wind energy development in this country. Wind energy is the cheapest source of renewable energy, cheaper than biomass.
Government backbencher Mara Thompson urged members not to reduce the estimates to a reduction in the deficit and cutting of spending, but to focus on the future of Barbados. But before taking her seat, Thompson, who is the MP for St. John, did not fail to tell Parliament how her constituents felt about the state of affairs in the parish. She noted that while they were pleased with the completion of the David Thompson Health and Social Services Complex, the new post office at Four Roads, and the refurbished Law School, they were very upset at a number of issues, including the roads.
The buses that don't come on time or don't come at all, namely the Sergeant Street bus and the Martins Bay bus. They are not pleased about the lack of action in acquiring the ground at College Savannah, where Sussex Cricket Club plays cricket. I have written numerous letters. They are not pleased about the condition of the St. John's Primary School and the closure of Society Primary School. And they are as horrified as I am at being told that the new school to house the students of these two schools will be located at the site of the old outpatients clinic at Gall Hill. Absurd idea. And they have told me to say right here on the floor of the House today that they will not permit this to happen. And they are not pleased about the condition of so many of the roads in St. John. Too many of the roads are in dreadful condition and are destroying vehicles.
In response to Thompson's concern about the land at Sussex in St. John, Minister of Housing and Lands Dennis Kelman said that government was in the process of acquiring it.
The honourable member for St. John wrote me sometime last year about the ground at Sussex, and both the Ministry of Housing, Lands and Rural Development and the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Youth visited, and they both agreed that the land should be acquired, and once we get the necessary information, we are quite prepared to acquire that land. And at the same time we were up there, we also visited, we also had a visit to where the old windmill was on Lambert's Hill, and we acknowledged that the land there is already owned by the government of Barbados, and we requested that land, that a letter come from the sports aspect of the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sports, Sports and Youth, so that we can also give that to the people.
In other news now, there's deep concern at this time from two major social stakeholders that Barbadians could feel more pain if government insists on enforcing the law that requires VAT charges on zero-rated medicines. President of the local pharmaceutical society, Paul Gibson, says the best solution is to amend the law to create a win-win for patients and the state-owned Barbados Revenue Authority. Gibson said that a meeting last week with BRA did not come to any final conclusion on the issue, but follow-up talks to find the best solution are expected to be held shortly. He told Barbados Today that the BRA did not enforce any new VAT charges on zero-rated medicines, but was merely pointing out what the law required.
Their position is that the VAT is to be paid based on the laws. Our position was that VAT is not supposed to be charged, additional VAT is not to be charged on zero-rated items, and on prescription, but the reality is that we have not been charging VAT to patients on zero-rated items. We have not been charging, pharmacists have not been charging VAT to patients on zero-rated items. The law, however, says we should. The law, not Brava, the law. And so we really are looking at the two pieces of legislation and having conversations about it just to see how we could come to a win-win where Barbadians don't feel additional pain.
And President of the Barbados Association of Retired Persons, Ed Bushell, has expressed grave concern that if patients were forced to pay VAT on zero-rated medicines, it could be a major problem for them. He also suggests that government changes the legislation to ease an already overtaxed population.
This was always there, but the former minister, whichever minister, some other minister, had told the fellows, look, it's there, but don't push it, and they never applied it. But now the VAT office now obviously looking for every single penny and said that this should be applied. So it's a matter of amending legislation if we can do that, otherwise I'm going to kill poor people again.
In sport, Kemar Roach took match figures of 7 for 47 as Barbados defeated Leeward Islands by an innings and 26 runs in the WICB 4-day tournament at Kensington Oval yesterday. Leeward Islands batted without their captain, Kieran Powell, who was absent hurt in a match where they managed only 6 double-digit scores across 2 innings. Barbados had put on 313 after electing to bat.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Get your paper, get your paper. Only $2.25, $2.20. Who? For what? That's the Bear Stale News. I don't read about that on Barbados Today since last night. That can't only care do. $2.20. Who?
The Barbados Today, news you can trust.
We're back with news from the region now. A commission of inquiry in Bermuda that probed the damning findings of the Auditor General's report has found numerous violations, some of which were serious and persistent. The commissioners also found evidence of possible criminal activity in projects in which former Premier Dr. Ewart Brown, Derek Burgess, and Vic Ball were involved. In response to the Commission's report, Premier Michael Dunkley promised it will not be business as usual within his government and its departments.
But we have to pay attention to that damning auditor's report for those 3 years and to what the Commission says. And I've made a commitment in my statement on the floor of the House of Assembly today, and it's important that it was done there. This is the people's place to do their business, and we will follow through. And in regards to findings in the report of possible criminal activity, that will be up to the DPP and the Bermuda Police Service to take a look at it in the appropriate way. But Gary and Bernews, I can assure the people of Bermuda that this government will work through that report and improve how we conduct business within the governments.
Meanwhile, a 7-member committee has been appointed by the Trinidad and Tobago government to investigate the operations of the country's main oil refinery, Petrotrin. Their task is to make recommendations for the restructuring of the company, which, according to the Minister of Finance, is in dire financial straits. Their first report must be submitted by June 1st. The committee, headed by Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Energy, Selwyn Lashley, received the instruments of appointment from Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley yesterday. On the international scene, snow piled up rapidly in parts of the northeastern United States today as a blizzard began blowing in, with residents being advised to stay at home, airlines grounding flights, and schools canceling classes. The National Weather Service warned some 50 million people from Pennsylvania to Maine of a rapidly intensifying northeaster that was unusual for so late in the winter.
A winter storm packing blizzard conditions blanketing the Northeast overnight and into Tuesday. Some 50 million people along the eastern seaboard in areas that could be affected. I'm Zach Ullman for Reuters in Times Square. The New York City subway service canceling all above-ground transport. The city's public school system, the largest system in the country, closing schools today. The city has staged more than 300 pieces of snowplowing equipment at the 3 major airports, and more than 4,000 flights were canceled ahead of this winter storm. Officials asking residents to stay home and stay safe.
Stay off the streets for your own good, for your own safety, but also to help the sanitation department to keep the streets clear.
We are urging the public to please stay off the roads. Am I getting this message across that we are urging the public to stay off the roads? Urging the public to stay off the roads.
School districts in Boston, Fairfax County, Virginia, and Philadelphia also canceling classes. Washington, D.C. expected to get 5 inches of snow. Boston, more than a foot. New York, up to 2 feet. The National Weather Service saying snowfall will be so heavy at times, accumulation could be up to 4 inches per hour, with winds up to 60 miles per hour.
And that's news and sports. But for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. Also subscribe to our e-paper email updates and like us on Facebook. We are also on Izumi Media in bus terminals or screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you, as well as Channel 99 on Flow TV and Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Have a fantastic day.